Welcome again, souls, to iloveshinyobjects.com. So, general time management questions. First question: what is time management and what are the basic principles of time management? It's all about managing your time wisely with all the different things you have to do in work or in life, which means being smart and intentional with how you spend your time and your brief life. What are the basic principles of time management? All the most basic principles are about thinking differently. They are just wise thinking habits. That's all. Examples of what I've found, of course, I'm still learning, but what I've found and believe are the most basic principles. Working on the vital few rather than the trivial many, which is from the third video of this playlist. Reactive to proactive thinking, which is also in the third video. Giving each moment all you have versus always thinking about something else. Getting distracted by shiny objects, again, third video. Small rocks to big rocks filtering. This was the fourth video in the series. Scattered thinking to baby-wise future thinking. That was the fifth video in this playlist. Time blindness to knowing how much time it takes to do every big or medium rock. That was from the sixth video in this playlist. Unclear with your time to experimenting, reflecting, and gaining clarity with your time management. Control your environment or your environment will control you. Faster workflow. In the back of your mind, always be thinking, how could I get this done faster? Why is time management important? Or why do we need to manage time? The clearest and easiest illustration that I can give for you is found in the fourth video of this playlist or series called Time Management Big Rocks. But to give you a brief, not so visual answer, life is made up of time. So as we manage our time better, we manage our lives better. For souls, it's so easy for us to be pulled away or distracted from the things that will bring us the most joy and meaning in life. Time management helps us focus on the shiny objects that are actually the shiniest for us. So we reach the end of our days and lives with no regrets and satisfaction of knowing we spent the time of our life well. How to manage your time. How I manage my time well. Brian Tracy said, successful people work on the vital few rather than the trivial many. This is the easiest way to manage your time better, just having fewer things to do with your time. This is also where the delegation course could come in and be helpful for you. You can check it out at iloveshinyobjects.com. If you have ADHD, then learning how much time passes while you're doing different things by setting up things like clocks, timers, or even stopwatches will help you begin to manage your time well. And also being strategic or proactive, planning that day either the night before or at the beginning of the day, and sprinkling in some prioritization on top of that to keep you more focused on how you should be spending your time each day. But to give you a clear, big picture perspective, definitely check out the fourth video in this playlist called Time Management Big Rocks. Experimenting and blowing stuff up until you find out what works best for you is also helpful. And also having a list or a cheat sheet that you can refer back to when inevitably something in your life will change and you'll need to make some kind of small tweak or adjustment to get your old time management skills working again in your life. Or it might make sense to completely try a new tip or combination of tips. And the bonus tip for this video is wherever you are spending your precious heartbeats of time, be fully there with all your focus, your body, and your soul, so that you can more fully enjoy that moment of time wherever it is being spent. And so that you can be as productive and focused as possible wherever you're spending the time. Specific time management questions. What are some good time management skills or techniques? And what are the most effective and proven time management techniques? Great question. The simple answer to both of these questions is to, sorry to say this, to watch the whole playlist on time management. They are the best marriage of easy to implement tips that will give you the best results. If you want all the ones that I use when I used to work with people with ADHD one-on-one for basically a decade, check out the course on iloveshinyobjects.com. I couldn't find any research articles that covered the most effective and proven time management techniques when I was researching for this question. This is because we are not all the same, and our work situations are different, and there are different variables in each of our lives, so it makes it very hard to give any kind of concrete answer to this question. So what is the most effective for one person might not be the most effective for another person with the exact same job. Or if you lose a job and you get a different job, you are still the same person, but what might have worked best in that previous job now doesn't work the best for your new job. Or it could be a completely unjob related variable in your life that was significant enough to throw off what used to work best for you. I'm saying all this not only because I don't know the answer, but because I used to coach people, again, with ADHD one-on-one. And from that, I learned that even though I had the same bag of tips and tricks and techniques to pull out, I had to pull out different ones for each person based on having a deep conceptual understanding of them and their history and present work problems and struggles, what they had already tried before and what parts of it worked well and what didn't, etc., 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 etc. From the top 3 articles on the first page of Google related to this exact question, not one of them included any kind of research or scholarly papers to back up that each technique they talked about was the most proven or effective time management techniques. So I'm not the only one who can't answer this question. So now that I've thoroughly talked through it, the real short answer to this question is that they don't exist universally, only specifically on a person-by-person basis and by all the other factors of their life at that time. I always procrastinate and get carried away with many things. How can I overcome procrastination and develop better time management? With anything you find yourself procrastinating on, think about the reasons why your future self might procrastinate on that specific thing. Now you want to try to brainstorm ways your current self can outsmart your future self so that you don't procrastinate. Examples. Structure the first steps of whatever you are procrastinating on to be as easy and effortless as possible so your future self can't come up with a reason to procrastinate like it's too hard. The second overall tip is to schedule the hardest thing you have to do, which is probably what you are procrastinating on, with and when you are typically the most energetic and the most focused in your day. Usually we all have similar times. Mine, it's the morning. For some others, it could be the evening. Also, try to schedule them towards the beginning of the day because your willpower will get weaker and weaker as your brain gets more and more tired throughout the day. So it will be harder to stop yourself from procrastinating on it. On a side note, reduce or eliminate as many of the decisions as possible before doing that hard thing or any hard things that you typically procrastinating on, because those also wear out your brain faster, which makes it harder for you to resist those urges to procrastinate. And the flip side of this is to schedule the easiest task when you are usually the most tired and the most unfocused times of your day. Bonus tip, build in rewards. If that doesn't work, build in a painful consequence. If you buy the course, you can do this with your accountability partner using sticks or stakes. Think, what reward would best motivate me to not procrastinate on this? Examples of rewards: taking a walk outside by the water. It could be a piece of candy, snack. I love dark chocolate. My wife, right now, when I was making this transcript, was using Skittles to motivate herself and eating each Skittle for each small little task she was doing in her work because it was wearing her out, etc. Is time management a skill? Yes. Therefore, it's something we can all learn and all get better at. What are some innovative ideas in time management? I created all the what I think are the most innovative ideas in the 5th video of this playlist called How to Increase Productivity While Working from Home. The 3 main tips in that video are the baby wise tip, which is about future thinking, routines, patterns, habits. The second is the spouse sync tip, very helpful while working from home and managing everything. And the third is the time owie tip. I also thought the second video in this series, What Your Kids Wish You Knew About Time Management, was innovative because it mixes time management through the lens or perspective of your kids and your family, and one of the most common regrets of the dying. And the 6th video in this series, Timer Music Games, I thought was also a fun, helpful, and innovative idea. The last innovative idea is by Stephen Covey, his Big Rocks concept, which is what the 4th video of this series is based off of. What are some of the best time management tips for college students? What are the best time management strategies for a student? I decided to combine these together since they were so similar. First tip is how I save time note-taking. I had difficulties writing quickly, and when I did write quickly, I couldn't read any of it in college. I was a much faster typer, so I started typing my notes in a Microsoft program called OneNote. An unforeseen bonus was it was easier and it gave me more time to listen to the teacher. Looking back on it, I think it was because I didn't have to think or try so hard to make my notes legible so that I could actually read them later, and just write fast enough to capture all the most important things I thought the teacher was saying. And another bonus was that when I was studying for quizzes, tests, finals, etc., it was easy because I could search for the subtopics I was studying at that moment in OneNote, and quickly pull up all the parts of all my notes that included that subtopic or those words, and that saved me so much time. So there's this little search bar, I think it's on the top right, kind of above all the columns. Well, I don't know if it's different if you're using the app, but you just type in your words in there, and then you could search in a particular folder or a tab, which is like the class. And so it showed me and automatically highlighted all the places where I wrote about that in the notes throughout the whole semester, and that was really, really helpful for me. Second tip is to learn when you are naturally more energetic and focused throughout each day, and dedicate that time. You can time block in your calendar for your hardest classes. Try to register for your classes early so that you can align that class with that time slot when you're more focused. And the opposite of this should also be planned. So for those easy classes for you, plan the class, or for you to do the homework for that class during the times when you are the least energetic and the least focused. If you are fascinated with the class, then you can literally do it whenever, even if you have low energy. But just be mindful and don't do this right before bed, because sometimes it can stimulate you and wake you up if you like it so much that it just naturally gives you energy. The third tip: your mind is like a cell phone battery and constantly needs to be recharged to save time and to use your time wisely. This is a Stephen Covey principle called sharpening your saw. So don't ever study for more than 1.5 hours. That's the max. Or whenever you're having a hard time focusing, then stop before that 1.5 hours and get some exercise in the sunlight, some water, some healthy food, snacks. Go someplace that naturally recharges you, a beautiful nature trail, whatever. You want to feel recharged emotionally, physically, mentally, stress, anxiety, etc., and then get back to it for another 90 minutes. And you can also set a timer during that time. A lot of people use like the Pomodoro technique, and try to reserve about 15 minutes for those breaks. If your time management is still really bad, or you're really having trouble focusing, try using a modified Pomodoro technique where you are tracking as soon as you lose focus, and then you're only setting a timer for you can do it 3 times, and when you naturally see yourself getting distracted, then stop that stopwatch, and then do the 3 times, take an average of it, and that amount of time, whatever that is your custom Pomodoro timer, and use that to study. Then take a short break, and then come back, set that exact same timer, break, exact same time, break. And that will really help you if your ADHD or your shiny object syndrome is just really bad for that day for whatever reason. It probably has a lot to do with sleep, food, or some other big factor in your life. Fourth tip: create a batch routine or pattern in your personal and your school life to better manage your time. And try to make them healthy habits. Try to make healthy habits out of all these tips, actually. The fifth tip is to plan to always be ahead of the class in all your classes, but especially the hard ones. At the beginning of the semester, look at each class's schedule, syllabus, and put all the most important dates in your calendar. Start studying so that you're 2 weeks ahead of that class. You want to at least maintain a week ahead, but try to get to that 2 weeks. This will help you use your class time as wisely as possible, because you will already know what parts of the homework that you don't understand and are struggling with, so that you can be sure to perk up, listen, and ask questions when the professor gets there. It's been a couple of decades since I've been in college for me, so I'm sure I'm forgetting a whole bunch of tips, but these 5 tips should get you started on a better foot. I really struggled in college because instead of taking a subject that would have been easy for me, like entrepreneurship, they had one of the best programs back then at U of H in the country. I took mechanical engineering, which for me was extremely hard because I struggled in it so much. So these tips were really valuable for me. And a bonus tip that may or may not apply: always sit in the front of the class with the kids that look like they are the most serious note takers in the class, or they ask the most questions, or they seem like they're the most engaged people. You want to become friends with those people, especially the ones that are scoring the highest naturally on the test, quizzes, homeworks. In one class, one girl was dating one of the teacher's aides. I think that's what you call them. and had access to all the online quizzes and homework problems done step by step. Some of the calculations in engineering would take 1 to 2 entire pages to complete. So seeing every step could save you so much time figuring out where the hell you made a mistake. Do other ADHDers have problems with time management, organization, and constantly messy rooms and spaces? Are these considered ADHD things? Shiny spoiler alert. For many ADHDers, yes, it is. But for some, no. But for the ones it is no to, it's not for every aspect of time management. A lot of knowers have developed healthy patterns and routines that help them stay organized and have clean rooms and spaces. But they still struggle with some aspect of time management in their work or their school life, which I will discuss the specifics after a quote from some experts in the field. So let's go to these experts and get their take on this question. Quote, time is the thing that keeps everything from happening all at once. In ADHD, time collapses, making life feel as if everything is happening at once. It's now or never, or maybe later. This creates panic. One loses perspective and the ability to select what needs to be done first, what needs to be done second, and what can wait until another day. Instead, you are always on the go, leaping before you look, always trying to keep the world from caving in on top of you. In the world of ADD, there are only two times. There is now and not now. So when the supervisor says to a person with ADHD that a presentation must be done for a major meeting in 3 months, the person with ADHD thinks to herself, not now. She forgets about it until 3 months from now becomes now. Then it's too late. If only she could get her act together, her exasperated supervisor laments. You're the most talented person in this company, but until you shape up, you're never going to make a difference here or anywhere else. It's not surprising that toxic worry, depression, anxiety disorders abound among people with undiagnosed ADHD. We never know when we are going to forget something, or say the wrong thing, or show up at the wrong place, or the wrong time. This quote is from Dr. Edward Hallowell and Dr. John Ratley's book, Delivered from Distraction. Both are highly respected doctors, MDs in the field of ADHD. But let's make this more practical and easier to understand. Us ADHDers don't often realize how much time has passed or how much time until the next thing. We're also prone to lose all track of time by shiny side projects or just distractions. And we are often optimistic about how long projects, milestones in the project, or even smaller tasks in those milestones will take. What are some useful time management skills for someone that deals with ADHD? What are the best time management techniques for adults with ADHD? For those viewing this video inside the time management course on iloveshinyobjects.com that have ADHD, pay attention to this video. It will be very helpful for you. I packed a lot of extra ADHD stuff in this video. With any and all ADHD tips, it's important to separate yourself from the problems so that you don't attack yourself, but turn your focus from attacking yourself to attacking the problems or struggles you have. In other words, you want to redirect your energy and focus towards the ADHD problems and struggles and away from self-blame. If your internal clock doesn't tick loud enough, then you need to make up for it with external clocks. That quote is from Arya Tuckman's book, More Tension, Less Deficit. But we need to take this a step further and monitor each thing we do and how much time it takes for each thing so that we can pinpoint what things are throwing off our time management. it does cost time to save time and manage our time for the rest of our lives. So you must be willing to sacrifice the present in exchange for managing the rest of your life. And you'll finally know the answer to that frequent question at the end of each day: where did all my time go today? Work with the clock in front of you and look up at it frequently to track how much time is passing as you complete each task. You could also do this with clocks, alarms, timers, in places you typically lose track of time, and in places that you'll remember to use them. If you don't respond well to visual reminders like clocks for time passing, use auditory ones. You can wear headphones and only have one headphone in your ear, so if someone walks in your office, you don't get scared, but it just beeps every hour to keep you on time and to keep you focused on what you are currently working on. Then you could check if what you are currently working on is what you're supposed to be working on in that time, or how much more you have completed on that particular task in the past hour, and is that where you want to be? Organizational stuff to save time. If you aren't, try to create the simplest organization system you can that is the easiest for you to maintain and to find things quickly. Quote, everything has its place. With this mantra, you always put something back in its place as soon as you're done using it. This makes it so much easier to find stuff. If doing this mantra immediately doesn't work for you, reserve 5 minutes before lunch or before you leave work to do this, and try to organize your desk as fast as possible. Make a game out of it and set a timer to it. 3 questions to help you tackle distractions. Question 1, what might distract me? 2, what can I do to stop my future self from getting distracted? And 3, what can I do to prevent the distraction from happening in the first place? Have your proactive to-do list or calendar blocking or whatever time management system you are using to remind you of what you should be doing at a particular time in front of you. You can take this a step further and add a reoccurring 15-minute timer to remind you to check if what you are currently working on lines up to what you should be working on. If it does, feel free to reward yourself by a pat on the back, give yourself a self high five, some dark chocolate, take another sip of your favorite coffee, whatever works for you. You might need to change the rewards over time to keep this working for you. Take to heart Brian Tracy's quote, successful people work on the vital few rather than the trivial many. Accountability. Working next to someone can be a constant reminder to help keep you on task, even if they don't know that's what you're doing. Or just commit to someone that you are going to get blank done in blank amount of time and have them call you or text you when that time's over to see how things are going. Even if you don't finish it, it helps you become more aware of how long these different things take you to do so that you can better plan in the future. Or if you have a friend that is really organized, make a list of all the reasons you are commonly late and have that friend or family member help you brainstorm ways you can pre-plan to eliminate as many of those issues for you as possible. Or you can also use your accountability partner if you bought this time management course on iloveshinyobjects.com. Call your spouse if you are going to be more than 15 minutes late coming home. Send email appointment reminders to each other and add the addresses to Outlook or I think Gmail that both will give you a suggested time to leave based on traffic. But be sure to give yourself a little extra time to accommodate for how much time it usually takes you to get out of your office or home office. Or you can have your spouse call you and make sure you are leaving so that you aren't going to be late. Create a razor sharp focus by having a very appealing concrete goal, by knowing exactly what to do to reach that goal, and by avoiding minimizing distractions. Use relative short periods of time and take breaks regularly. Grace time. Add double the amount of time as you think it will take you to do something. Worst thing that could happen is that you finish early and you have more time to relax or take a longer break in between your tasks and projects, or sharpen your saw just a little more. Somewhere in your schedule, plan in some grace time to account for all the unplanned events that are completely out of your control that will inevitably happen. Just interruptions like calls, your boss walking in, wants to talk to you about something random and unrelated, distractions, something broke, your computer's not working right, lack of being able to get help, maybe someone took the day off, whatever. Find ways to increase your energy. Try doing some kind of intensive sport, perhaps during lunch, to keep your energy up. Find ways that relax you. You can try meditation, mindfulness exercises. Meditation is just deep breathing. If you breathe in really slow in through your mouth and out through your nose, it will help slow down your heart rate and naturally relax you. You could also try taking a peaceful walk in the woods or the park. Timers and alarms are really helpful, and just you need to always be thinking routine, routine, routine. Seek careers that are more time flexible, or that the hours just naturally line up with when you're most energetic and focused. Create a simple routine, habit, or a departure checklist. Just put it in some spot you think it would be the most helpful, with the times that you need to do each major thing that you have to do before leaving to go to work, so that you won't be late. Have a spouse or roommate help you with this to create something that will work for you. Often they can see issues that you can't see, underestimating how long something will take, for example. You could set a timer for each of these activities to time how long it will take you, so that you can better plan each day. And make sure to plan in some grace time for when things go wrong in your morning, like you run out of coffee, breakfast, you need to stop, fill up with gas, you forgot something, accidents on the road, etc. If you're still having trouble getting to work on time, it might be hard to say no to those just one more things, or it will only take a minute. Those things pretty much always guarantee you that you will be late. If you need to leave at 8:15 a.m. to get to work at 9 a.m., then at, let's say, 7 a.m. you need to wake up. By 7:05 you need to be in the bathroom getting ready. By 7:30 you need to be out of the bathroom and in the kitchen making breakfast and coffee. This is just an example of a list or to-do list, checklist that you can make to help yourself get out the door and on into work on time. You can be done making yourself breakfast by 7:40. You need to be done eating and drinking your coffee by 7:50. You need to be done cleaning up the kitchen by 7:55. You need to be done brushing your teeth by 8 a.m. And you need to have all your things ready and be out the door by 8:10 a.m. And before you go, just stop and think, did I forget anything? You want to be in your car and be going by 8:15 a.m. Now plan to be everywhere 15 minutes early, because again, you might need to get gas, there might be a wreck, you might have to change a dirty diaper, etc. Have a launch pad by your door. Whatever door that you leave out of, could be the back to the garage, for example, or the front if your car's out front. And then put everything you need on that launch pad to leave. So there's less you have to grab, there's less you have to remember. Find a way to resist the urge to do, again, just that one more thing before leaving the house. Perhaps just write it down and put it on a sticky note on the fridge so that you can take care of it when you come back home. To make sure you leave work Set timers and reminders for the last 1.5 hours, hour, and the last 30 minutes before you have to leave work for the day. And that last 5 minutes, go to YouTube and find the final countdown song. It's exactly 5 minutes long. And during that time, try to clean up, organize, and get out of your office and before that song finishes, to make this a game. And doing this hour and a half, hour, 30 minutes, it helps you finalize and finish up things and plan out what you're going to finish up today and what you need to plan tomorrow, and also to clean up and organize and get ready for tomorrow's task and projects. The time guesstimate game from the book ADHD Friendly Ways to Organize Your Life, with your spouse, friend, family member, or your accountability partner from this course. Make 6 columns on a piece of paper. Then in the first column, write all the things you need to do tomorrow. In the second column, guess how much time you think each of those things will take you to do. In the third column, have the other person write how long they think each of those things will take you to do. Then the next day, set a stopwatch timer for each of those different things and write down the actual time in the fifth column. Ask yourself these questions and put them in the sixth column. Who won the game? What did you learn today that will help you do better tomorrow? Keep playing until you feel like you've gotten all the help you can from this game. Use waiting times like waiting for meetings, doctor's visits, picking up your kids at school, etc. as recharging times. Do things that will recharge you the most. Here are some random suggestions. Read your Bible. Take deep, slow breaths to reduce your stress or anxiety or your other negative emotions. Exercise. In your car, you could do fun, simple exercises, or pray for others and yourself. Tips from the book The Disorganized Mind by Nancy Ratley. Bookends and anchors. Bookends are about being firm on when you wake up every day and when you go to bed every day. Anchors are having consistent times for eating, exercise, meds, anything that will sharpen your saw, as Stephen Covey used to say, and will help you out for the rest of the day. Based on your anchors, divide your days into quadrants. Put your alarms in unusual places so it's more work to turn them off and they are just too annoying to ignore. Also put a reminder next to the next thing you should do. Also, you could put some kind of a reminder item like your car keys next to the timer so that when it goes off, when you're setting it, when it goes off, you remember, oh, now I have to go run this errand. You can also set hourly alarms like I've already mentioned, where you could cross-reference if what you're currently working on is what you're supposed to be working on. My add-on tip is to self-reflect if you need more help with this at the end of each hour and reflect on what worked well and what didn't work well and what you can do better the next hour. The maximum time I would set for this is, again, 1.5 hours, like I mentioned in the other videos, because research has shown that brain performance starts decreasing after this 1.5 hour mark. Use the half rule. Take whatever you had planned to do for a project and cut it in half. Then cut it in half again. Then plan out to do that. So this is all about the Brian Tracy again, working on the vital few rather than the trivial many. Automate, delegate, batch. For the stuff that you delegate, make sure you give deadlines to those people. Keep in mind the big picture, your quarter or your month, and the little picture each and every day, or quadrant for those days. Plan structured time and flexible time into each workday if that will work better for you. Don't get stuck in planning paralysis. because the only perfect system for time management is the system that works best for you. Whatever tips you decide to use, the key is to evaluate how well they are working for you and be flexible about changing the ones that aren't working so well. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Consider how much time is available in your busy schedule and plan accordingly. If you take on a new project, you may have to cut back on other activities in order to finish it on time. Post your deadlines where you will see them. This will remind you to use your time wisely. Break bigger projects into smaller projects and assign a deadline for each of those smaller projects. What are some time management tips for elementary teachers? Time audit to find ways to change your schedule routine to maximize your time. Try to batch, automate, delegate as much as you possibly can. Here are some great tips from a fellow YouTuber, Esther. Her channel is Adulting with Esther. I'll put a link for it in the description below. She used to be an elementary school teacher. She says to develop as much routine as possible, to have systems for everything, and to batch tasks on a weekly rotation. The hardest but most effective thing was learning to produce MVPs, minimum viable projects, being okay with good enough, and also learning which tasks were avoidance play tasks, like reorganizing her room or making pretty labels was my avoidance strategy for putting off lesson plans. What are some best practices for an entrepreneur's time management? What are some great tips for young entrepreneurs to improve productivity and time management? And what are some good time management principles for small business owners? Save time by getting crystal clear about what specific thing in your business is the biggest problem right now. Devote your peak energy and focus time to either learning how to fix that very specific problem, books, courses, mentors with experience in that specific problem, etc. Or hire someone that specializes in fixing that very specific problem. Save time making more money. If you need to increase your revenue by some multiple, double, triple, whatever it is, determine what gathering technique is currently bringing you in the most customers, and double, triple, whatever goals you're aiming at, the time you spend gathering there. Or hire someone or ones to do that for you. With this time in mind, you will know how much it will cost you to hire, how can you make sure that you profit more than hiring someone, and you can also make sure you hire someone that's interested in working that amount of time. Each morning, ask yourself these types of questions. What are the vital few, Brian Tracy's quote, should I work on today that will give me the results or the goals I am after? And keep practicing just letting go of everything else. And what can I eliminate, delegate, automate, or batch to save time today? Remember, I need to undervalue my delegation money and overvalue my time. What can I do to get fully lost in my work for this hour and a half of time? What are the best ways a person can get better at time management at work? The first tip off the top of my head is the time owie technique from the 5th video in this playlist. Spend time uncovering the number one thing that is hurting your time management and look for a very specific solution to solve that very specific problem. Then keep tweaking things slightly until you find something that works the best for you. It's so hard to know what you have already tried, what worked and what didn't work so well for each thing that you have tried. Your own unique situation, environment, text without context is usually just a con. So in an effort to stop repeating myself so much in these Q&A videos, there's roughly 30 of them, so I feel like I've repeated myself a lot by this time. I would recommend just watching the whole time management series, lesson 2. You could skip the first one in the playlist. It's just meant to be funny. But they are packed with great tips and tricks, and they're free, and I try to make them as easy to implement and helpful as possible. If you need more than that, just buy the time management course on iloveshinyobjects.com. If you still don't get enough, which would be surprising, I will always offer to refund your money. No restrictions ever on getting money on iloveshinyobjects.com. Why do I fail at time management? How does someone who sucks at time management effectively manage their time? There could be many reasons. The easiest way would be just to talk to you one-on-one and ask you a bunch of questions and probably give you some homework, which we would then more deeply analyze together later. But unfortunately, I only have 2 or 3 hours to work each day, at least on most days, so that's just not possible in my schedule. My next best recommendation would be to try the time timer guesstimate game from the book ADHD Friendly Ways to Organize Your Life. The 6th column and whoever's helping you will help you figure out the answer to this question specifically for you. Here are the directions to play that game. With your spouse, friend, family member, or your accountability partner from this course on iloveshinyobjects.com. Make 6 columns on a piece of paper. Then in the first column, write all the things that you need to do tomorrow. In the second column, you're going to guess how much time you think each of those things will take you to do. In the third column, this is where the other person gets to guess how much time they think all those things will take you to do. Then the next day, you're going to set a stopwatch to each of those things you wrote down and write down the actual times in the 5th column. Ask yourself these questions and then put your answers to those questions in the 6th column. 1. Who won the game? But more importantly, what did you learn today that can help you better manage your time tomorrow? Keep playing until you feel like you've learned and improved as much as you possibly can from this game. Here's some common reasons or my best guesses why you might suck at time management. Note this isn't an exhaustive list by any means. You get distracted easily and are not clear on how to fight those distractions that come up. Some of those distractions you just get hyper focused in and you just lose all track of time. You probably aren't managing your energy and your focus levels throughout the day. Or you probably aren't continually sharpening your saw throughout the day to stay productive and focused and not procrastinate or get distracted so easily. And you probably aren't aligning the most difficult thing that you have to do that day with the time of day that you are naturally the most productive and focused. You are probably being reactive most days instead of being proactive on how you spend your time. You overestimate the value of your money and you underestimate the value of your time. Bill Gates said, "Time is the only resource you can't buy." And you are probably just never taught how to manage your time well by your parents or in school. And for the last question, how does someone who sucks at time management effectively manage time? Watch the ADHD time management video and the Q&A video for it to try solutions that will help people who naturally suck at time management. I will put both links for both of those videos in the first comment below this video. What are the biggest threats to good time management? Bad habits and routines that you might not even realize are bad habits and routines. Not having a customized strategy that's based off knowing yourself and your unique situation. Basically minimizing the effects of your weaknesses with time management. Another one is just being overwhelmed or having way too much on your plate to the point where you're frantically running from fire to fire trying to put everything out. Or you could just have a hard time saying no to people. So you keep saying yes to more and more work and overestimate what you can actually accomplish. Focusing too much on being efficient and productive to the point where you don't allow yourself to spend time on the other aspects of your life that are meaningful and significant to you. Like what I mentioned in the second video of this playlist, which was called What Your Kids Wish You Knew About Time Management. How do you teach time management to kids? You show them the value of time. I would and will someday show my kids the fourth video in this series called Time Management Big Rocks. It's from Stephen Covey. It gives you a very clear and easy to understand way the value of time. It makes it very easy to conceptualize. I would also give them a real life story that I would also tell them the time management story that's coming up in one of the future questions. And maybe I would even take them to a retirement home and have them ask those people how they managed their time, any regrets they had, and any advice they would have for them to be more wise with their time on this earth. Another general tip is just as early as possible setting up good routines and habits that for time management that hopefully they'll take into adulthood and the rest of their lives. And to also find a way to make it fun, interesting, and engaging for them to learn this to do. Maybe it's also based in some hobbies they have or things they like. What is a time management hack that has helped you a lot? Or your favorite tip or technique? Or what is your smartest life hack for time management? I don't know if this is a hack. I guess it probably isn't. So if you want hacks, just watch the rest of the series on YouTube or in lesson 2 of the course. For me personally, my favorite tip are my amazing wife and son, because I desperately want to spend more time with them and less time on work. So they push me and motivate me to try to be as wise as possible when I manage my time. And I think it's helped me learn these techniques and just have this like great desire to get better at this so that I can spend more time with them, because they're just so amazing. And I apologize for not giving you the answer you wanted. What is the 80-20 rule for time management? Basically, the 80-20 rule is just another way to say it would be the Brian Tracy quote: successful people work on the vital few rather than the trivial many. But more precisely, it's being intentional and focused on the 20% of the things that will lead you to 80% of the results in regards to your time management. How do I make time management a habit? Implement whatever tip you think would be the very easiest for you to do. Get results, start feeling that sense of accomplishment, no matter how small it is, and use that motivation to do the second easiest thing and then the third easiest thing for you specifically. Also, accountability partner sticks, working with me one-on-one, which is only available inside the course. All those things will help you apply time management. How can I improve my time management skills and focus? Knowing more things to try helps because they're like different tools in your tool belt. And this is very helpful because we are all slightly different and our situations are different, so different tips will be more helpful for some than others. Also, keep self-reflecting and learning from yourself and your unique situation every day. So this is going to take trial and error. As Thomas Edison once said, the only chance one has is to keep trying one more time. Continuing one's effort is the only guaranteed way of success. And of course, the application lessons in the time management course on iloveshinyobjects.com will help as well. I'll leave a link in the first comment below. Which is better for time management? Paper planners or electric planners? This is just a personal preference. You should just keep trying different things until you find out what works best for you. Most will need small tweaks regardless of which one you use to continually use it and to find it effective. But for both, I would recommend having something that triggers you to use it. Take something that you already have a healthy habit on and then like attach the digital or the paper planner to it. For example, you can put the planner on your computer where the button is to turn it on, so that before you turn on your computer, you'll obviously see the planner because it's in the way, and you'll remember to use it and plan out your day. And so this can help you create a healthy pattern to keep using your planner. Which is better, time management or energy management? Both help. If the reason you're asking this is to just know where you should start putting your focus to learn, that's a really good question. I would recommend focusing on whichever one has the tips or techniques that would be the easiest for you to incorporate in your life. And as you master that first easy tip, make it a healthy pattern or routine in your life, and then move on to the second easiest tip for you, and just keep building that healthy momentum. If you get paralyzed trying to pick the easiest option with this, filter it by also whichever one you could complete the fastest in your life. If you are still unsure of which easiest option to pick, then just pick one. But going back to your original question, I would say overall, time management is more important, and I would just say to watch the Big Rocks video, the fourth video in this playlist, to see and understand why. But I can also easily see energy management being more helpful for some souls. What are some short stories on time management? Imagine there is a bank that credits your account each morning with $86,000, $86,400. It carries over no balance from each day to day. Every evening, the bank deletes whatever part of the balance you failed to use during the day. What would you do? You would draw out every cent, of course. Each of us has such a bank. Its name is time. Every morning it credits you with 86,400 seconds. Every night it writes off as lost whatever of this time you have failed to invest to good purpose. It carries over no balance. It allows no overdraft. Every day it opens a new account for you. Each night it burns the remainder of the day. If you fail to use the day's deposits, the loss is yours. There is no going back. There is no drawing against the tomorrow. You must live in the present on today's deposits. Invest it so as to get from it the utmost in health, happiness, and success. The clock is running. Make the most of today. Treasure every moment that you have, and reassure it more because you shared it with someone special or special enough to spend your time. Remember that time waits for no one. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. Every moment matters. How to get to places on time. Realize how long it typically takes you to get to places. Maybe that means putting more clocks everywhere, or there's a product called Time Timer, and you could put these clocks and timers at the different places around the house you go to before you leave. Or always, you should assume the worst, plan for the worst case scenarios like traffic wrecks and etc., and try to leave earlier. Pre-plan the day before so that you can get out the door the next day, whatever your appointments are, as fast as possible. Pack what you need with you and put it on a bag, suitcase, etc. right next to the door you go out. This is referred to as a launch pad. Save time finding stuff. So you always want to put your stuff in the same place. Commit to doing this and have your family or whoever's currently living with you to help you do this as well, if possible. I'm pretty sure I covered this in the time management ADHD question. So if you want to go back and watch that part, I'll link it in the first comment below. Big Rocks video questions. Do I have a recommended time ratio for each type of rock? Like, you should spend 50% of your waking time on big rocks, 30% on medium, etc. Sometimes I wonder if I simply have too much to do and I could spend my entire life working on big rocks if I let myself. Wow, that's a really great question. The percentages will change with your life, and the different seasons are parts of your life. There is no right or wrong answer here. This might tie into thinking wavelengths, which you can get for free on iloveshinyobjects.com/thinking. So producers on the thinking wavelength might prefer percentages, and conceivers might just want to keep this like in the back of their mind each day, the more big picture view. We are all made differently, and both work best for each of those two types of thinkers. Reflecting is the key for all of us though. So daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly will help you make wiser decisions with this, your percentages. Also, if you have any wise counsel in your life, just run things by them, and even just talking to them can clarify this answer for you. If you would like one but don't have one, you can join the course to get an accountability partner with the time management course. And of course, pray and get God's guidance. I'm out on my own for the first time after college. I have my big rocks. How do I prioritize them and then make them into a schedule? An easy place to start would be the 3 filter questions from the second video in this playlist series. Is it due now or overdue? Write a D next to it. Is it significant and meaningful to you? Then write an S by it. Is it a priority or one of the most valuable things for you to do? Then write a P by it. If this is for work, you should also organize your list by the things that have the most letters by it to the least. And ask your boss if the due now or the overdue items can be prioritized deprioritized so that you can focus on the most important and significant things for the company first. If you can do this, then just go down that list you made. For a schedule, there are many ways to do this. You could use whatever system that works for you, like time blocking, putting things in your calendar, having a planner. It really doesn't matter. Reflect on your past, what you've tried, what elements work best for you. Can you make a Frankenstein or customized solution from all the different things you've tried to make a new solution that will work best for you? If so, do that. If you need to-do list ideas, I have a video that covers roughly 26 different ideas or different ways that you could create a to-do list. but I also talk about a time blocking method, which is very popular right now later in the course. And personally, I just finished using the best self journal, which I really did like a lot. The only problem I have with videos like this is that I don't know what my big rocks actually would be or how to properly spend that time. I would recommend watching the goals video called How to Design Your Life by Achieving Your Goals. It's on the I Love Shiny Objects YouTube channel. This will give you clarity on what your big rocks are. Then ask yourself, what are the overall most important things I'm trying to achieve or do right now? Then write out only the most important goals you or y'all have and why each of those are the most important. Questions to ask yourself while scheduling these things. Will this thing move me closer to my goals or objectives? Or is this just busy work? Does this task directly support the goals we have set for this time period? Do I have the energy and brain power required to do this effectively today or right now? The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Stephen Covey. Live one moment at a time. Give that task your number one attention and focus. Anything that comes during your mind or on your plate as you're doing that, just label it as a distraction and you'll handle it later. What if you have too many big rocks? I would give a similar answer to the guy that talked about prioritizing his big rocks above. Think of your priorities as a compass that keeps you going in the direction of your most important goals in work and in life. When you have and follow this compass daily, being a soul becomes a whole lot easier, and it leads to a much more rewarding and fulfilling life. The most important things in life are knowing what the most important things in life are and doing those things each and every day. Why do we even need to prioritize? Usually we don't have enough resources to work on everything we have to do or that we come up with to do. And if you're more prioritized at work, your entire team, department, and company, and of course yourself will all benefit from it. Pulling from the other courses on iloveshinyobjects.com, here are some simple questions that will help you prioritize. Which would help me reach my goals the fastest? Or which of these, if done first, would help me make all the other tasks simpler or easier for me or my coworkers? Find out when everything is really due and ask them, what is the real due date for this? The date when the stuff would hit the fan if we don't do it by then. Ask yourself if everything you have on your plate is really important. Feel free to get help with this. Ask your manager or boss what's important, what's not, and what you should be working on right now. Align your most effort big rocks with your most focused times, and the big rocks that require the least amount of effort with your least focused times. The last way to help with this is to think about death. Seriously. It will help you reprioritize your goals and values, which helps you clarify what's the highest priority things in your life and work and what is not. Ask yourself, if today was the last day of my life, would what I'm doing today really matter to me? Steve Jobs said, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am doing today? If the answer was no for too many days in a row, Steve knew that something needed to change in his life. And now, so do you. Bonus, tips to getting more smaller stuff out of your container so that you can actually have more time for your big rocks. Can you automate? Can you set up things to be automated by software, bots, AI, etc. to speed things up? Can you delegate? Play to your strengths and try the best you can to delegate the rest. See life's challenges and problems as opportunities to recruit, hire, or to delegate things to those who are good at those things and they love doing them. Batch, which means simply just to combine similar things together and do them back to back so that you get in a rhythm and in the zone and you do them faster and with less errors. If you want a faster, easier, more convenient way to learn everything in this playlist, click on the last link in the description below. I'll also put it in the first comment pinned below. That will take you to the course that all these videos in this time management playlist came from. As always, subscribe and hit the bell to tank your time management soul.